Mcmorrin.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Yesterday, the Prime Minister announced we will build back greener. He said that was part of his mission to reach net zero. He also said he would build jet zero. This is on the same day that Airbus announced 15,000 jobs were to be cut. And now this just shows how out of touch this Prime Minister and his government are with what is going on in the real world. The climate emergency yesterday barely got a look in throughout his speech when we look at how money is to be spent. Frankly, this government strategy is to hide inadequate commitments with bluster and rhetoric. With the climate emergency upon us, where is the action that must follow words? Take where I'm from, South Wales, for example. Cancellation of electrification of trains, no support for the groundbreaking tidal lagoon, and now no new money for Wales at all in the announcement yesterday, despite the ridiculous rhetoric we're hearing. Compare this to Macron in France or Merkel in Germany, who are making commitments of 15 and 40 billion to invest in rebuilding a green economy and green jobs. They know, like many in this House, that this is the future. We know that only by transitioning to a green economy with apprenticeships and jobs in the sustainable and green sectors that we are going to be able to meet this climate emergency head-on, replace jobs lost in that transition and fix the unemployment crisis that we now face. This $5 billion announced is not new money at all. And as I said, we know there's not even new money for Wales. It bears little resemblance to what is actually needed, and even less resemblance to the person that this Prime Minister seeks to emulate, Roosevelt. This spending represents just 0.2% of GDP compared to Roosevelt's New Deal, which represented 40%. And as my friend, the former Member of Parliament for Bury North, James Frith, said yesterday, this stunt is less Franklin and the Hoover Dam, and more frankly, I don't give a damn. I know the Prime Minister has a liking for big, shiny announcements to occupy the days when he's not doing press-ups, but I would have thought he would have looked twice at this bargain basement New Deal. The global health crisis has led to such disruption in our lives. The uncertainties that lay ahead for so many people are numerous. But this should be a reason to give people hope and to use the post-COVID rebuild to invest in that green infrastructure and green jobs. The challenges we face present us with a unique opportunity to do just that, to right past wrongs and to stop future ones from occurring. It's shone a spotlight on what truly matters to us, those values, who we value and what we value. And as we begin to reimagine what our communities, our high streets, our town centres, our future looks like, we have a chance to face up to that starkest challenge of all, our rapidly changing climate. And in the future, when we talk about the bottom line must be to stop undercutting the environment. We must recognise what is good for our planet is good for jobs and is good for livelihoods and is good for health and prosperity. We must build sustainability into absolutely everything that we do. Now is the time to be bold, but ensure a sustainable future is ahead of us and is ahead of us for our children too. We only have a few years left to act, Madam Deputy Speaker, and unfortunately we have a Prime Minister that favours big words over actually delivering anything. So I really do urge this government to listen and act. Last week, the Committee on Climate Change released its annual report. The UK is still on course to miss the legally binding fourth and fifth carbon budgets. The government's falling well short of what it's needed to meet the original previous 80% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, let alone its own net zero carbon commitment. Halting runaway climate change means embedding resilience at the very heart of infrastructure plans, retrofitting homes, offices, public buildings, greening our energy network, expanding public transport. Yet the Committee on Climate Change reported that the government has failed to build climate resilience into its work, with the UK sector demonstrating even the ability to meet the 2% degree rise in global temperature that we absolutely must meet. This government has yet to radically scale up the construction of renewable energy generation or create any coherent plans to integrate onshore and offshore networks. We're lagging behind other countries in developing a proper plan to train and skill a net zero workforce. And we need to shift public investment away from high carbon infrastructure. This government has failed again and again, and the Prime Minister's new plans are stuck in the fossil fuel age, with more money being spent on roads than greening our rail networks, or investing in energy efficiency, which would boost our communities and local economies. We must stop financing failure and start financing the future. A better way forward is possible. People have made huge sacrifices during this health pandemic that we've seen, that we've lived through. Many have lost loved ones. But let me say this health crisis, just like the climate crisis, has not been a great leveller. It has been a great reminder of the entrenched inequalities in this country and around the world. How we invest now must take account of that. We must look at what a green energy revolution can do for both the generation of young people who fear for their job prospects and many millions more who have fallen foul of our fragile economy and look nervously now towards the autumn. We must be investing in green energy, in mass retrofitting schemes, in green build, in sustainable transport network. And by financing the future of education, we can equip the next workforce with the skills we need to achieve net zero well before 2050. Now is the time to make our economy and society fairer and more just, setting us on a green and sustainable path. We have a moral obligation to pass a better world on to the next generation. People want change too, and a recent poll found that 6 in 10 want the government to put health and well-being ahead of growth after this pandemic. The suffering that people have gone through throughout this crisis deserves to be recognised with adequate and appropriate investment. We need a government that will not just level up our country, where the least among us meet the just about managing, but we must have a major adjustment that will make life worthwhile. Action, not words, and we need leadership on this, not rhetoric. Thank you.